Hello my it's Toycat, and this is my new Minecraft 1.8 series, which is a new Let's Play I'm starting for 1.8, where I'm going to be doing 1.8 sort of stuff. 5Cs, looks like it's going to be the world name.
10 years ago, I started a new Minecraft world, but it wasn't just any Minecraft world, it was something special, as you can see from this beautiful plains with sugarcane and lava right at spawn. But after 550 Let's Play episodes, I realized that I've recorded this world on YouTube for hundreds of hours of footage, and so this might be one of the best documented worlds out there. So how long can you watch of this world on YouTube? The answer is 1,162 Minecraft days, just of on-camera on YouTube time, and in addition to that, I live stream quite frequently here on YouTube too. There are 1,034 days of those live streams, including, well, I don't like to talk about it, but what I do like to talk about is how I've been playing the same world for over 2,200 documented Minecraft days, with many thousands more being recorded off camera, and why it is that I've stuck to this same Minecraft world for over 10 years now. Seriously, 10 years ago I was making projects like building a house in a ravine, and now I'm mining over 190,000 netherrack so I can build a console-sized nether in my overworld. This all seems very ridiculous to see, I mean especially when you see my enchanting table tree or anything else in this world, but I wanted to give you a full proper tour and explanation as to why I've been playing the same world for 10 years rather than starting a new one where you might assume I would have more fun, where some Minecraft players clearly seem to think that's true, but not me. But first of all, let's explain and tour the world. So there are 5 or 6 major locations in the Let's Play world which everything is kind of built around, and one thing you have to bear in mind is I built this world on the console edition when there was a limited size world. So picture a world that looks something like this, or, you know, in Minecraft it looks more like this with a weird water border around it, but picture a world looking like this, where I have 2 major bases. One is built out of, one is built out of brick, and it's like in this corner over here, and one is built in the side of a ravine and looks absolutely delightful. It's something like over there. One is the natural, built inside a cave base, one is the base that I built from scratch to be absolute perfection, and I 100% achieved that, by the way. But then, as the world expanded, it got a little bit bigger with Xbox One Edition, and it got infinite with Bedrock. I now have a few locations outside of that area. So I have a village which is up here somewhere, and I have a blue ice islands which are all the way down here somewhere, although I think that's basically off the scale of this map. You know, it is off the scale of the map. It gets smaller because it's off over there somewhere, right? Anyway, the thing you'll notice about all 4 of these major locations, you know, we're kind of leaving out the smaller things like the TU-31 world that's over there, or my new ancient city, which is all the way like over there off camera somewhere. But the thing you'll notice about these 4 major locations is they basically make a straight line between them. If you had a line that looked like that and then a line that looked like that, you'd be able to connect all of these places without having a big expanding world. One of the things about the Let's Play, which is kind of weird in my opinion, is I've always built it around a straight line, because when you have an infinite world, you have far too much land area, so you might as well have something that's very easily crossable in my opinion. There's also a similar thing you could say between these points over there, but basically I like to have a world which is easily connected, and that is why transport is actually one of the things that defines this world, and why this looks nothing like a normal world. I mean, you can vaguely argue that having a house in a cave isn't that strange, and having a bedrock to sky height sugarcane farm and, you know, like bamboo farm right next to it, this is all normal stuff, but my whole world has always been built around getting things around and also building very big things in the kind of periphery of this. And so, yeah, I mean, I forgot about my nether portal to just now. This is me not being sure how much obsidian it takes to build a nether portal. I forget, do you have to build a 3x3 square, or is it a 64x64 square? I didn't know, and so I went safe with it. But yeah, when you look around this world, you'll notice that all of the building is in a very straight, solid line, which is why if I want to give you a tour of this world, we have to kind of do it by section, and the first and most important section is always going to be transportation. How do you get around a Minecraft world that is this big? Besides flying, which is of course the best way. The answer is back in 2012, my idea was minecarts. Minecarts, funnily enough, 10 years ago used to go faster than they do now, but that's a fun addition thing. I mean, seriously, if I show you the speed of this minecart now, especially not only do minecarts go slower, but we have faster transportation methods, you would just never cross your world like this. And also, now that worlds are much bigger, you would never cross your world like this because you cannot cross a Minecraft world now, but this was literally end to end of my Minecraft world. I wanted a Skyrail as a grand infrastructure project from which I could see the rest of the world. And so this naturally gives you, when you look at your render distance, an area of buildings which you'll be able to see versus an area of buildings you won't be able to. There are projects which are outside of this radius, but this is always the area where I've put the most focus on. That's why I have a savanna. It looks like a savanna, but it's a desert biome that is actually a swamp biome that is actually a no tree biome over there. That's why I sheared all the leaves on my forest and dug my holes over here, because everything in this world exists in a straight line, which started because of the Skyrail. Although the Skyrail actually later expanded to be 3 separate rails. If you look from here, you can just about see all 3 in one place. Okay, as we turn up the render distance, you can see there's actually 3 separate rails. There's one going from each of my bases to each other. Again, look at that perfect house over there. It's so beautifully proportioned. Minecraft builders have never made anything like it since then, and I don't think anything like it can be recreated now. It is just a perfect bastion of Minecraft building. But I have this base over here, and I connect it to that base over there. But I also then connected it to my desert because I was always needing to get sand, and so that was a place over there. Also, my first natural NPC village, and then I connected those 3 points together via what was going to be my replacement house. I figured at one point, you know what, living inside a brick house is nice, living inside a cave is nice. What if I had a unified base in the middle? And so, like every solution that tries to replace lots of alternatives, I just ended up having a third house rather than, having one unified base, and it looked something a bit like this. By the way, doesn't it tell you something that the fastest way to get to something, which literally has minecarts going through it, is to fly there? I mean, Minecraft transportation. It's got its problems, but it doesn't mean it's not fun to build, and it doesn't mean it's not fun to have a little minecart station in the basement, because I built it on top of a mountain off this area. This is not the minecart station. This is the minecart station. As you can see, it kind of goes through here before crossing a mountain, getting over. It's kind of nice in my opinion. I really like the idea of minecart tracks. I like trains in real life. I like minecart tracks, but this is the only real place in my world they have any use, and if I'm being honest, the last time I used it as a form of transportation was half a decade ago. It's really fun, but the real transportation comes in 2 major forms. One of those is probably a bit more expectable than the other. It's blue ice. I mean, you can use blue ice to go some serious distance very quickly. So just over here, as you can see, I have a massive, it's actually 3,000 blocks long, blue ice pathway, which is the fastest way to get to that blue dot I mentioned on my very high quality scientific map earlier. And if you want to see it right now, well, it's nighttime, so we'll look in the day. It won't be long till day. I'll just sit here and wait. Okay, anyway, so yeah, here is my boat. It's pointed in roughly the right direction. Oh, exactly the right direction. So that now I can show you why it is that blue ice boats destroy minecarts right now. This journey, which is, a factor of 10 bigger, allows us to cross so much more of the world. Why is that there? Why did I get out of a boat halfway through and then leave it off to the side? It just feels very inefficient. Okay, that's going on the ground now. But as you can see, this is this is the world, and this is a much more untamed part of it as well, because manicuring 3,000 blocks, making it look like anything besides there is no longer a forest, because I have done that in quite a few bits, is actually quite the challenge, as it turns out. I've destroyed entire sections of this place, and also I built a few things, like that woodland mansion over there is looking pretty cool, right? But yeah, I built lots of things around here, but the whole goal has been that this will be the corridor on which I build anything. If I have a new idea that I want to add to my Minecraft world, I usually consider adding it around here. So if I want to build a temple exclusively out of ore blocks, let's say, or I want to cover an entire biome in stone, this is the place I'll do it. For real, this is so much iron ore. For someone who doesn't have an iron farm, using 1,000 iron ore blocks to make a temple is maybe questionable, you might say, but I love it regardless. I mean, seriously, there's so much space on the inside here. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. And speaking of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful places, it is probably fitting that I go along this diagonal path, which, by the way, it's been a while since I've tried to ride a boat diagonally like this. It doesn't work so well. It's probably worth me showing you what is at the end of my world that is worth this 3,000 blue ice block pathway to. And by the way, where did I get 3,000 blue ice blocks and why is all explained by what is on this end of the world, because this is the first chunks that generated exclusively on Bedrock, exclusively after 1.13, which means this is the first set of like warm oceans where I can find coral reefs and dolphins and pufferfish and all that nonsense, as well as axolotl feeding foods. But also, this is where I built some sky islands. One of the most inspired things I ever had in Minecraft was to build a bunch of floating islands in the sky, and I absolutely love the way they turn out, although they don't really do much besides being a cool feature to represent the end of the world. There is thousands of blocks I've explored that way for the purpose of finding hearts of the sea and whatnot, but this is to me a good representation of as far as I should need to go for the purpose of building. And the reason it's right over here is because, again, I love that it's a warm ocean, so again, there's a fun contrast. It's a desert, it's a warm ocean, and then there's a bunch of floating ice blocks on top of it. Kind of fun, but also I love that to build all of these islands and the 3,000 blocks of pathway, what I had to do was actually destroy an entire iceberg biome. However, as we head towards the iceberg biome, it's worth mentioning that although the blue ice pathway is great, and I have a few of those around my world, the primary way to actually get around this world is probably the same way that a lot of people get around in any infinite world, be that on Java or Bedrock. You know, ripped console edition. But the way to get around an infinite world now, it's very clear that you don't do your fast transportation methods out here. This used to be an iceberg biome, and now it is entirely flattened in a way that I absolutely love. Not only flattened, by the way, I went a block below water level. This, if it was flattened, it'd be a block higher, but I needed even more ice than that, so I went a block down. And, you know, if I need more ice now, I can still get that, don't get me wrong. But yeah, if you go through the Nether, it's always the much faster transportation method, and if you want to see where some of that extra ice ended up, it might make sense when we go through this portal. Because yeah, I may have turned an entire section of my Nether into icicles and snow, and I think it's absolutely beautiful, and if you disagree, then clearly you're wrong. Look at it, it's a multi-level Nether fortress with a giant frozen floating glass. I just, I love the look of this place, and I like that my, you know, even the Nether is operating on the same principle, because the beautiful thing about Minecraft is if the, you know, the Nether is just a scaled down version of the overworld, which means if you build your world deliberately in a straight line, then that means the Nether that connects that world will also make a beautifully straight line. I've shown this off before, the fact that it's thousands and thousands of blocks that I've dug out so you can walk in a straight line like the Romans did, but this is my true masterpiece of a transport mechanism. You can ride a horse in here. I, you know, could place down some blue ice and make it boatable, although, you know, I think in general the Nether is the sort of place you want to fly around rather than boat for a bunch of fun reasons. But yeah, the fact that we have the whole dimension and it's kind of tamed in a way, you know, it's under control, is really cool. This is the big transportation method, and yeah, it also kind of nicely brings me into what my favorite type of project is, because obviously that's the transportation of the world, the logistics of the world, all runs around this. When I need to get between various projects, this is what I do, but it also kind of represents, and you've started to see it already, my favorite type of project is entirely altering a landscape. So in 2019, I built an overworld Nether project. By the way, all these signs exist in the world because this world is actually downloadable. The live copy that I use and play every single week, you know, I've poured dozens of hours a month into, I actually put signs in that, and that way I can share my exact Let's Play world. It's available on the marketplace right now, just in case you want to check it out for yourself, get yourself a tour. But like turning the Nether, the most dangerous biome, into a beautiful little, you know, it's kind of cavey looking because of the stone roof, but turning it into a beautiful looking, you know, plain/forest biome is something just I absolutely loved doing. I've done this for, you know, in every direction. So I've built the overworld in the Nether. I've built a small version of the Nether in the overworld. I've built the overworld in the end, and the end in the overworld, and the Nether in the. I've done every biome in every single dimension. It's really, really fun in my opinion when something is just not what you expect whatsoever. When it's really, really out of the norm for Minecraft generation, while still looking exactly like Minecraft. It's just kind of shocking, right? Even something as simple as having a whole, you know, flower forest. I mean, is this even a flower forest? I mean, apparently it's enough for flower forest to have chickens running around. There's no way he spawned naturally, right? How did I get a chicken out here? Does anyone know what a chicken is doing in my Nether? You know, we don't like to question it, do we? There's lots of things in Minecraft you can question. This is not one of those. Yeah, you might notice I've got a penchant for these sorts of projects. And again, it's not just building dimensions and other dimensions. You'll also see that, for example, I made a volcano. Actually, you know what? This is kind of a nether volcano. Maybe the one thing I do like is just taking blocks from dimensions and putting them elsewhere. This is a pattern I'm starting to realize while looking around my own world, but it is something that is really fun for me to do. Even just, okay, here's a better example. This was a project I finished in the last year. I drained an ocean. Not the entire thing, to be fair, but I drained a substantial portion of an ocean biome so that what would have been the floor of an ocean is now apparently a jungle biome, because pandas spawn there. There's something so fun about weird jarring things. There's even a bit of environmental storytelling, because it looks like, you know, the oil rig that's taking all this lava out of there is maybe the reason there's no more ocean besides this little cube. But yeah, I love to do these big, grand Minecraft projects where the end result is just something weird. The end result is just something a little bit strange, and that is why probably I spend so many days in this world, is because to achieve things like that, you can't just start a new world. Wait, actually, do you see that in the background too? I built a desert temple, but out ice blocks over here. See, that's fun, that's jarring. It doesn't look like a fit for the biome that it's in, does it? But yeah, I really love to build things like this, and you can't do that in a fresh Minecraft world. The tools are important, you know, having like great tools. Having great tools isn't that much better than having good tools, but having bad tools is so much worse. Doing a project like this with a stone shovel or iron shovel really sucks, and even though it's fun, you know, to try and get enchanted tools for the first time, personally, I think the fun part of Minecraft is being able to shape your own world, which, you know, kind of moves us on from this little project, this little explanation of I like to change biomes. You've seen my stone forest, you've seen the Netherrack mountain, and here are some more examples of biomes that I've shifted. But yeah, right now, let's explain the way that I actually operate in terms of tools, because I get so many questions about how it is that I've played Minecraft for years, a decade, and yet I don't have, for example, a max enchanted sword. It's got looting 3 and smite 5. I don't even have a netherite helmet or a max enchanted axe. Although I do have a max enchanted flint and steel and shears. Thank you very much for asking. But yeah, the question at some point becomes like, why is it that you will spend hundreds of thousands on these things but not on your axe? And how exactly do you actually equip yourself on a day-to-day basis? By the way, this is a Mary Can. So if you're a Mary Can and you're watching this video, then, I don't know, hit the like button. Or if you're not a Mary Can and you're watching this video, hit the subscribe button. See what I did there? I made it so you had to do something that was beneficial to me. Wow, that was sneaky of me, wasn't it? I sure do hope no one saw through that one. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna go to sleep, and I'm gonna show you how I set this stuff up. So as I mentioned, when you first start a world, even when I first started this world, you don't have great tools. Even by the second episode, I had an iron pickaxe and an iron sword, but I was still using a stone pickaxe, a wooden pickaxe, and apparently, I almost starved to death on the second day, as it so turns out. But yeah, having really good stuff is important to be able to shift and to change the world around you. It almost makes you a bit OP when you have super enchanted gear, but in some ways, that's what you want. The challenge is not in, can I not die to a creeper? I mean, a creeper could spawn any moment now because it's getting dark. I mean, they can't. I've actually lit up the entire, square world I mentioned from before. The console-sized world will not spawn a single mob. I can go AFK at night if I want to, because the challenge is not in avoiding creepers and zombies and whatnot anymore. It's not a challenge for most people once they've been playing Minecraft for a while. The challenge is in optimizing and maxing out as much as you can, as far as actually being able to change the world. So, I think that, first of all, having a bunch of different tools is important. You need an enchanted trident for channeling. You need one for Riptide. Maybe you want one that has loyalty on. Maybe you even want to have the weird one that hurts fish. You know, having lots of different tools. I have so many enchanted shovels because sometimes you need to move tens of thousands of blocks of dirt and a single mending shovel won't do it. Sometimes you need to mine, let's say, 190,000 blocks of netherrack, and so having a single pickaxe isn't going to do that. In fact, having a netherite pickaxe is a waste when you're mining, netherrack, because it will be instant mined by even an efficiency 2 diamond pickaxe. So considering all these things means you have to have a lot of different tools. I have slightly fewer axes because you usually mine way fewer axes at the same time. I have way fewer fewer hoes because they only became important recently. I've only got, what, like 1 netherite and 2 enchanted diamond hoes? Because, yeah, there aren't many blocks that I've had to silk touch in that regard yet. And, yeah, when you look at the armor, it's basically the same thing. I have a few different replicas of armors, except when it comes to, I mean, I have a netherite chestplate, but I don't have a netherite helmet. I do have a netherite section over here, but I haven't gone netherite mining in a while, because mining used to be my favorite thing in Minecraft. If you go back and you look at the early episodes of the Let's Plays, the thing I was sad about is that I wouldn't be doing mining episodes. I'd be doing all my mining off camera, and I do actually mean mining off camera. I don't mean the way YouTubers say, where it's like, oh, look, we suddenly passed a bunch of time. No, I spent so much time mining in this world, and I loved it, but I haven't really done that recently because you don't really need to mine diamonds. All of my diamond tools, be it chest plates or boots or, you know, enchanted shovels, they come from trading with villagers. I have a nice stash of diamonds lying around. Here is my ender chest. As you can see, I've got 6 diamonds and a block of 9. And then I've also got the diamonds here. I've got diamonds in chests all around the world, and you just don't really need them. The same is true for iron and gold after you've made your basic contraptions. And so the only resource you need to mine for is netherite, and it's one of the most bland mining experiences in my opinion. You just mine for thousands of blocks, and you get a lot of netherrack, which I already have far too much of. So I haven't been that excited to mine for netherite, and I don't really need it. Like I mentioned, I'm not worried about a creeper spawning. It's physically impossible. I've been in here the entire time. There is no mob anywhere around here. Like, sometimes mobs will spawn on a roof or something that's not lit up, but do you see a single hostile? There we go, look at that. I see 3 hostile mobs right now, and that's because I didn't light the very top of that building up, and so 2 of them pushed another one off. So let's go kill him, actually. You know, let's prove the power of the smite sword. Just a single hit and he's dead. It's great, he's over. But yeah, that is the reality of this world. The challenge is in getting the tools and then in making the projects and doing the things. Honestly, I do sometimes think that is, you know, a little bit on the too easy side. Something that I want to do more of over the next decade. Even if I've got super enchanted armor, I want to give myself challenges where I'm putting myself out there a little bit. So, for instance, you know, fighting the warden in legit survival is one of those kind of silly challenges. Maybe we'll fight the wither a bunch of times in a row using some fun little permutation, like we can only use a trident or a crossbow, or, you know, maybe you go even sillier with it. You say you can only use a hoe to see if you can beat the wither. But I think I like the idea of having more challenges where I put myself out there. But to answer the question of how I get my gear, it all comes from over here, a giant anvil, which is right near the most beautiful house in the world, which I think at this point we should tour as well. What are the bases like in this? I have lots of non-base buildings, like the Bank of Toycat, my spawn area, the anvil, the armor you just saw, this big tower which leads up to the mine rails, and there's all sorts of things you've seen in this world, but there are only really 2 bases as far as I'm concerned. This is base number 1, even though it was made second. It's right next to spawn, and this is just the iconic shot. Even when you look at the world in the marketplace, you'll see that the image looks exactly like this. And yeah, this is I love when I see recreations of this. In fact, I love recreations of my Let's Play house so much. You know what I decided to do? Oh, there's an alley blocking the entrance. Okay, you just gotta promise not to get out, Mr. Alley. Just promise to stay right there. I forgot about the villager who used to live in my basement that I've now trapped in a little column of glass, by the way. I don't know if that's okay, but we'll ignore him for now, because I love recreations of my Let's Play house so much. You know what I did? I built my own recreation down in the basement below my house. And then you know what the best bit is? If you go into this house's basement, do you know what you're gonna find down there? Okay, I haven't built the house fully yet. I think it must have lit on fire. Yeah, I think there was lava here, and that lava burnt a bit of my house down. Wow, you know how you could avoid a house fire? Well, I mean, statistically, greater than 99% of house fires happen to people who aren't subscribed to the IBX Toycat YouTube channel, and now you know what a useful piece of information that is. But yeah, for real, I love seeing tributes to this around the place. This is my major base, and it's really compact. That's why I like it. It's not great for a lot of the long-term storage needs you might have. I mean, I have like a dozen chests around here, and even though I've organized them a lot over the years, it's still a little bit of a weird one, right? I mean, yeah, it doesn't really fit, does it? But it's nice and small, and it feels like home to me. Something about the wooden floors and the brick walls just gives me this feeling of like, yeah, I'm home. It doesn't take me long at all to jump from the house up to my bed here in the attic. By the way, very normal to live in an attic. not strange whatsoever. You know, it's funny because since making this house, literally most of a decade ago, if you look at where I live in real life, wait, do you wanna, let's take this real, right? So here is my Minecraft attic. As you can see, the roofs slope upwards. And then here is the room that I live in now. As you can see, the roof slopes upwards. Isn't that a beautiful twist of fate? That I lived in an attic in Minecraft for so long. By the way, a 3rd story attic. I mean, there's 2 floors below this one, and that is true for this house. Do you wanna see my house here? We're gonna do a full house tour soon. Harrison's gonna come over and record it. But yeah, if you wanna see, I happen to be on the 3rd floor. Wow, what a crazy coincidence. I actually wonder if that is coincidence or not. But yeah, I live in an attic, and this is a normal place for a person to do things, as I've proven by being a normal... Okay, you know, I don't think I'm a normal person, but I definitely am living here, so that counts, right? And then this is the roof of the house where I usually start my various Let's Play episodes. There's been 550 of them so far, which works out to being, what, like 1 a week and then a bunch extra? Because the series used to be daily, and then it was weekly for a bit, and then, we skipped out a few weeks, and now it's like most weeks on Monday, but this is the place where those episodes start, but it's only base number 1. My second base... Oh god, what did I just do? Is found over here in, like we mentioned before, a bit of a ravine, and it's gone over a lot of revisions over the years. I mean, I think it's incredible if we do like a side-by-side comparison for what it used to look like versus what it looks like now, just how much it's really been renovated into something of a real house. You know, I really have to emphasize the something of a real house. Even the view out the window went from looking entirely different to this. Like, really you start to realize how much the world has been terraformed. Or even the view out the back door here. Why do I have deep slate stairs on the... You know, I'm not going to question it, but the view out the back window here, even ignoring the giant farm there, obviously, it's still just massively different because I've built terrain out of nothing. This used to be a marshy swamp and a bunch of low-lying... like waterlands, and now it is an entirely flat area. It's so flat that some people question, is this a super flat world? Which is like the biggest compliment, especially these days, given how much people liken the super flat world, right? But yeah, I think things are great. I'd say this base is technically bigger because I've left a lot more space around it for me to do things like kill a lot of hostile mobs if I want to. For me to do things like run my automatic, I forget what this even produces. You bone mill it quickly, and it gives you a bunch of, nilium and warp roots and funguses, etc. Have you seen this farm, by the way? If you haven't, it's very handy. You just bone mill a bunch of blocks going left and right. Well, when it works... Huh. It's changed so that it doesn't work anymore besides this one block. Okay, now it's all working. This makes no sense to me. But yeah, it means that you can bone mill them, and every single time you bone mill it, all the blocks get, crushed up that way. It's a super cool idea. You can do this not just with the Netherrack blocks, obviously. You can do it with the Overworld ones. But this area, there's a lot of space around here, which allows me freedom to do stuff like this, using plants, or using the Netherrack blocks, or making a super complex cobblestone generator, which I totally use all the time. Or, if I need to, say, play around with a new mechanic like bees, I can make a giant bee over here and live inside of that. So, this base is definitely, it's got more area around it, and it's super flat, in a lot of really good ways, allowing me to do some fun stuff. Also, there's vines going down the mountain. I wonder how low they're gonna get. Huh. But yeah, to show you around this base in full is to basically show you that everything I built in the time that I needed it, and it creates, in my opinion, the worst planned, but most functional, I live with it bases ever. Again, when it comes to my bases, they're not here to be pretty, they're here because, oh, well, I need furnaces sometimes, so I make a room with 15 furnaces. That's usually as many as I need. I say usually because you know how the furnace house in the desert is. Sometimes I need hundreds of furnaces at the same time, but for 99% of my smelting needs, I've got this room right here, and it's just wonderful. Sometimes I need to store a lot of blocks, like a lot of netherrack, or a lot of endstone, or a lot of grass and dirt, and so I have a room which is very good for that. It has a 2-block high ceiling, which some people hate, but I think it keeps me grounded, or keep closer to the wall at least. And, when you've got a soft carpet, you don't need to worry about that. But I store all sorts of blocks over here because sometimes you just have a ton of blocks you need to put somewhere, and this is the place for that. It is the grand storage, the closest thing I have to a properly organized set of storages, and kind of represents what the base is. This is the lazily put together, everything is here base. My other base is, this is meant to be comfortable, but neither base is meant to be beautiful. I think it would be ridiculous to argue they are. In fact, nothing in this world really is meant to be beautiful. I mean, there are very few things that even come close. Sometimes I do try building for beauty, but the key word there is sometimes. In fact, the key word there would be rarely. I kind of like this melon house. It might be the closest thing to a normal build I've ever made, which, you know, I don't know if that's a correct assessment, but yeah, I needed a place to store all my excess sugarcane, and so in here it goes, right? What a logical place to store that all. I guess you could argue my Death Star creeper farm is designed to be aesthetic, but that takes so long to make an actual proper sphere in Minecraft, or semi-sphere, or hemisphere, or whatever it is. You know, like, there are a few builds which are there for the aesthetics, but it's mostly almost like, to me, this Minecraft project is like asserting, it's like taking some control over a world. Wow, here's that map from earlier. It's all starting to make sense where it comes from, because I like big projects that create something interesting when they're done. Sometimes I work on projects which are big for organizational reasons, so I figured, like, yeah, let's use this because it's a big house made of barrels. Like, I know it looks like it's a big place to store a map, but it's a giant barrel made out of other barrels. I thought that was a fun idea. Do you like how, like, the marks on the barrels are made by putting the barrels facing outwards? Okay, I thought this was clever. I enjoyed the fact that I could have this many chests with no lag, and so I figured, let's store our stuff in here. Where's my glass go? In the glass pane chest, or the glass chest regular for that one, or the jungle logs. And so every time I would fill up a chest with a bunch of blocks that I had, I could do that, and there'd be a logical place for it. But again, it's not convenient storage, and it requires me to keep filling up chests, and whenever I try to do something organized, it just never really goes too well. Whereas when I'm doing something just because I think it's fun, things go a lot better, and that is why the world is filled with very ugly things. I mean, if we're being totally honest, the best looking builds in this world are the ones where I've, like, you know, iterated a few times, like, you know, my furnace house. This is my third version of a furnace house. It looks like fine after I give it a lot of love and care and attention and try to expand on something. You know, actually, I don't think this looks fine. This is one of my favorite builds in this world. This is one of my examples of something great, but like a cactus farm that's vaguely shaped like a pyramid, or, you know, my desert pyramid over there with the blocks going up to it. Everything in here is kind of just me playing around. I think one of the key things in Minecraft is you should never, you know, like, it's fun to have goals and it's fun to have aims, but you should never say, I'm not going to build something because I'm worried about what the end result will look like. I think if you have fun going into an idea, like, I decided I wanted a mountain with a perfectly flat top. I've heard there's a flat top mountain somewhere in the world. Let's give that a try, and I love the end result here. I said I wanted to make a giant bed in Minecraft, and so I just did it using so many redstone blocks, by the way. But like, the end result is something which is really cool to see over here, or a wood factory, or anything else. So, you know, there's varying amounts of planning, but you put the amount of planning in that you want to. Minecraft is a game where no one can tell you what you can and cannot do. If you want to have a guardian statue, have a guardian statue. If you want to dig a tunnel that goes diagonally all the way down to bedrock, just so you can see what it looks like when that, you know, I don't think I ever finished this, but the cube effect is just so fascinating when you do it on like a diagonal like this. Look at that, it looks like a hexagon or like a cube, or it's a weird optical illusion that I've accidentally created. I really cannot overstress this. I just love goofing around with some idea in my head, not being fully formed until the end of that idea. Because as you work on something, your mind changes about what the thing should be. I wanted to use some of my black stone to make something amazing in an ice spikes biome, and so I built this. This is one of my builds. It doesn't, and even though I would say it probably looks objectively it looks at least good, right? It doesn't look the best, but it looks good. But then the question is, what is it doing for me? It was a fun, creative project to have out here, but, you know, is it any better than if it looked terrible, if I'm not visiting it any of the time anyway? Ultimately, having like some function to your buildings is just as fun as having some form. Having something new that you tried out, if it's just going to be a thing that exists, is just as fun as building the perfect thing that you saw in some tutorial somewhere. And I think that one of the things I always try to do is I try to keep things real. I try to explain how things really are. Like, when I tell you to subscribe, I'm being honest that it's because I would like you to see more of my videos, because I make a living on you seeing my videos. When I tell you about my failed ideas, like having this cobblestone with glowstone to kind of make wayfinding points, so I could fly across my world from, the very before I had the blue ice pathway, I could fly across to things like my woodland mansion. It kind of failed. I don't use it, and so it was an idea I had that failed. But seeing actual fails of an idea in a Let's Play world, seeing people doing things and them not always be successful is kind of important in my opinion. I think, like showing off all of, showing that the real way you make a build in Minecraft is you try and you might fail and then you can try again if you want. I think it's good to be realistic with people in the world, and that can range from everything from if you're showing off pictures, it's important to show that you put a lot of work into getting the right picture, into doing things just right. And if you're showing off a video of something, I'm not going to pretend that this was the easiest project ever. It took me hours to destroy an entire woodland mansion, put it in chests, and then try and build it again. And then I got to this point in the build, and I realized that I want to use every single block. And I realized, okay, it looks kind of cool where it is now, but how do I add a head? Or do I add arms? Will it look weird if I do all those things? I've got all these thoughts and insecurities and worries about it, and I think sharing the reality has always been what this world is about. The reason that I've been able to keep this world going for 10 years is because it really is just, what do I want to do in Minecraft? How could I have some fun and build out a world in a way that will be interesting to me tomorrow? I'm not going to do something that makes me hate myself tomorrow if I do it today. Instead, I always try to push myself, do something slightly different. So I think a reconstruction project is a lot of fun. If you've never tried one, you should do it sometime. If you've never tried a destruction project, that's also fun by itself. Trying a reconstruction project is a lot of fun. Try to build something because you think the idea is fun. Try to build something because you think it will look strange or jarring, or you just like the idea of it. Or even take something which exists, again, feel no shame in being like, yeah, I saw something from a long time ago, and I want to build that. I looked at one of my videos, funnily enough, and I was like, yeah, I built a really terrible Netherrack pyramid. Let's have a version of it here as a commemoration of that. You can build in Minecraft for so many reasons. Look at this. I placed a bunch of string in the ocean so I could have floating gravel on top of it. I love to learn new things in Minecraft. I love to play around with things. Look, does this actually work, by the way? It does. Look at that. That's fun. I love to learn new things in Minecraft. I love to play around, and I love to... Please don't fool me into this rack right here. And I love to remind people that you can build for basically any reason you want. There is always going to be a bias towards optimizing and efficiency, or towards the prettiest, most interesting builds on the one handle. That's, obviously, we're playing Minecraft, we're learning more things as time goes on. But also, I think it's important to say, take risks and do weird things. Because doing weird things is sometimes where you can have the most fun in Minecraft. Taking inspiration can be that weird thing even as well, though. I think is also important to say. Do you know the silliest thing? One of the recent projects I worked on. So this is my blue ice pathway in the end. If you need to travel a long distance quickly, flying is great, but if it's so long, I use a blue ice pathway. I'm just showing you how much slower it is to fly here. But I recently was going through my end and I was like, man, it took me so many hours, again, some of the hours which added to the over 2,100 recorded days in this world, but I absolutely love, in a very real way, this tunnel that I have going on over here. By the way, I made ore trees and overworld block biomes. My custom biomes are nice, right? I hope you like them. But yeah, I really love this tunnel. It took so long to make, but just having this enclosure in what is otherwise a super open dimension made me realize, wow, having a big tunnel takes a lot of work, but is really, really cool at the end. And that's why I started working on the dozens and dozens of hours that it'll take me to make the tunnel over to my ancient city, the one you saw at the start of the video. That's why, and then getting those blocks will inspire the next project of making an Ever in the Overworld, and then doing that project will inspire another thing. And ultimately, Minecraft is a game that allows you to be as creative or not creative as you like. It's a game that allows you to play it like it's, like the whole goal is to get whichever resource you want more of, or to play it in a way where you're just making things in the world. And personally, I love this game in so many facets, and that's why I'll always have builds that are just incongruous with each other, that are strange, that are weird, that don't even make any sense. Like, look at this. What is this, you know? But my favorite thing is having that feeling, and when I can make myself have that feeling, like, that is one of the best things too. So here, to finish the tour out in my end, you saw the glass-covered end, you saw my lovely little village that I have out here, and hopefully you saw enough of the world. At this point, touring it is like a near impossibility. I've wanted to like show every single build at some points, but then where do you define a build? Is this a build by itself? Or all of the biomes combined a build? Is this desert tunnel a build? You know, when you combine it with that? It's really hard to say where a build starts and ends, but if you want to look around the entire thing, just a reminder, the map is available on the marketplace, and a small percentage of those proceeds do go to helping the channel out. So thank you for that, as in like, you know, a small percentage of those proceeds do go directly to me, which I would like. I like money. And yeah, if you want to check out the world, that's a thing you can do. If you just want to see more of this, there will still be Let's Plays every Monday, building out and showing off and making this world. Also, look, there's a little creeper face in the top. It's just small little Easter eggs like that I really like. But this world, this series, is one of my favorite things to do, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing it today, because I really enjoyed showing it off to all of you. This is something you'll continue to see for a very long time on this channel, and I look forward to seeing you in 10 years for the 20th anniversary, assuming Minecraft is around. Minecraft will definitely be around. But yeah, 10 years, seriously long. It's kind of nuts to think about, right? A whole decade inside this world. But such is the nature of Minecraft. I played for a whole decade, and I still look at this and go, yeah, I'm gonna need a few more decades to like finish it, to feel done with it. And that's the cool thing about Sandbox. You're as done as you were yesterday and as done as you are tomorrow, because you'll never really be there. And so yeah, Minecraft probably sucks if you're a completionist, but the good news is I love to play it the way I love to play it, and I look forward to seeing you in the Let's Plays and live streams where we continue to build out the world. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Goodbye. Microphone is on.